All right, today's Tuesday Tidbit is, can I use short-term rental income to qualify? The answer is it depends. You're welcome. Have a great day. No, I'm just joking. So it will depend. People oftentimes ask the question when they rent out a bedroom in their own personal house. They're buying a primary residence. They plan on renting out a bedroom or two. Short-term rental income, maybe if it's in the long-term lease. If it's a primary residence, lenders can typically not use that income to qualify. Now, there are exceptions. There's an exception for what they call border income. Border income is if you had a mental or physical disability and somebody was staying with you and they were paying you rent. In some certain situations, we can use that income to help qualify. If it's a primary residence and it happens to have a legal ADU, accessory dwelling unit, in certain situations, we can use rental income from that as well to help qualify. But generally speaking, if you're buying a rental property and you're planning on doing short-term leases, Airbnb, short-term rentals as a whole, at the very beginning, the lender may not be able to use that income to qualify. Because if you were trying, let's say you bought an investment property and you did two short-term rentals and then you were turning around and trying to buy another property. Well, for that second property you're buying, the only way I could use rental income on the first property, that short-term rental property, is to show a lease. And if it's a short-term rental, there's not going to be a lease. And specifically, the government's guidelines say they want to see a lease of around 12 months. I've gotten exceptions down to 9 months, but it has to be a long-term lease, 9 months or longer. Okay. And again, if you're buying a property number two, we don't have that lease to point to. So we have no way of saying how much is this property going to rent for. It could be a condo in Winter Park that rents really, really well during the winter, but it does not rent so well during the summer. So what they want to see is they want to see a year of tax returns, and then they want to see the income on that. Those tax returns, as Schedule E, which is where your real estate owned, your rental incomes, are going to show up on that schedule. So once you have a history of short-term rentals, once we do have those tax returns, once we do have a year history of it, and we have a year worth of numbers, now we can use that income to qualify. Because over the course of a year, all of those seasonal ebbs and flows are going to kind of wash out. So once we have a year of tax returns, we can definitely use that income. So that's kind of the short answer. Once they're on the tax returns, yes. Prior to that, not really. I had one member come to me and say, hey, look, trying to buy a couple rental properties. I was going to do a couple longer term leases and then a short term lease. Do you have any preference in which order I do them? I'm like, absolutely, I do. Do the long term leases first and then do the short term rental last. That way, when we get to that last property, we're no longer struggling to qualify. I can show those leases from those other properties to help us get there. So that's exactly what they did. If you're buying multiple investment properties and you're going to do some long term, some short term, do the short term on the back end. It's going to be easier to qualify. Hope that helps. Thanks so much.